Hi everyone, my name is Hung and I will be presenting my machine learning final project in this next couple of minutes. So for this project, I decided that instead of using more complex algorithms, I would like to make a tutorial on different regression models for those of you out there who do not have as much experience with machine learning but would like to get a head start on it. So the data set I used was the IMDB 5000 movie dataset that comes in CSV format and includes 28 variables such as the name of the movie, the total box office gross of the movie, and the IMDb score. The question I tried to answer was whether there is some sort of correlation between the IMDb score, aka the rating of the movie, and the total box office gross. So usually, before using any sort of algorithm to analyze our data, we do something called the data pre-processing, which we sort of prepare and filter data to only contain the necessary information we need to do the project. As this particular data set comes in CSV form with columns already being the variables, there's not much to do except choosing the specific columns of the data we want to work with and checking for null and missing values that could cause problems in the later stages. So in this data set, there was about 884 missing values for the total box office gross, which meant we need to find a way to get rid of these rows of data. After we're done with pre-processing, a good first step is to try to understand the data. A good approach is to explore a query, inquire with the data to get to know it better, aka do a descriptive analysis. Some initial representatives would be the number of the movies under study, which is about 4,159, the average IMDb score, which is about 6.5, etc. Another helpful thing to do is to see the data's distribution and try to figure out whether it fits a well-known theoretical distribution or not. I chose to graph the scores of the movie, and looking at the graph, the histogram, the shape that we get for this data set is very much like the bell shape of the normal distribution, which is often used to study a person's trait, etc. So after coming to this conclusion, I tried to fit the normal distribution to the data set, and it seemed quite normal, so we can move on to the next step, which would be to create a predictive model, in other words, a mathematical model, which links our observed dependent value response with the other features available. We will be using linear regression first, but there are several other algorithms to solve regression problems, which we will talk about later. So for linear regression, as you can tell, the data looks quite scattered. You can't really see any sort of linear correlation between them. So we will be moving on to a different regression model, which is the polynomial interpolation and ridge regression. If you're familiar with calculus, you'll know that a common way of computing complex functions is by approximating it using polynomials. Again, even with this model, our data does not seem to be improving in terms of correlation setting. The data is still quite scattered, and you cannot really see any sort of strong correlation between the score and the box office gross. So we will move on to our last algorithm, which is the support vector regression, commonly used to solve nonlinear problems. Unfortunately, even with this algorithm, the data is still scattered, and you can't really have a strong linear correlation seen on the data set. So a common way is usually to add more features to train the model and improve the model, which we do here. But at the same time, we know that since there's not a lot of correlation between these two data features, we can conclude that there is not much or strong correlation between the IMDb score of the movies and their total gross. After examining the data and training the model, we tried to basically predict the IMDb score from the total box office gross. And you can tell that the results are not as great. The error percentage is quite high, especially in some cases. For example, the top 2.3 score was predicted to be 6.5, which is about 181% error. So we can conclude that again, there's not a lot of correlation between the IMDb score of the movies and their total box office gross. In this case, we could improve the data by using some sort of clustering or other algorithms, but I just wanted to make sure that I walk you through the regression models that could be present in basically examining linear correlations. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.